Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for yet another episode. This is episode number 7 now. So I am joined with a very, very Pog champion man. He's probably well known in the OCE community as a very cracked and devious individual. But I am joined here today with the man, the myth, the legend, Jinimy.
Hello. um, so I am Jinimy. I am a speedrunner. I've been doing speedrunning for a few years now. Um, and I like to just explore the game and find glitches and stuff.
I think we've seen some of those glitches you've used, so it's gonna be a little bit fun talking about that. But would you like
Yeah.
to give a brief introduction of like how you got into RuneScape?
Okay. So, I think about 16 years ago. It's been a long time. I had a friend in school that actually introduced me to RuneScape, and we used to play a lot, but that was a long time ago. And also, I started playing with my brother as well. That got me back into it, I think. And yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, all right. So, shall we start getting into the questions, sir?
Yes, sir.
Let us talk about something you're probably well known for, which is how you got into speedrun ToB and speedrunning content in general.
Okay. Um. So I used to be an Iron Man actually, and I had some friends, and we used to just raid together a lot, and uh, I guess we just like doing things fast, and that's just what became fun to us. And then yeah, I guess it just started from there. Eventually we made a team and yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. So you just got together with the boys and just started doing speedruns.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that's what that's like because that's pretty much how we got into it. I had an opportunity before where it came to chambers, but I was too
Yeah.
anxious. So the next opportunity presented itself when top speeds was becoming more of a thing, and I was with some of my close friends, and we had no clue what the fuck we were doing. But we all wanted to get into it, and that's what we did. We got into it, and
Yeah.
here we are now.
I just enjoyed improving at the game. That was my main thing. And yeah, I think that's just what started it for me.
All right. So we can probably get like a little bit more in depth with speedrunning because after all, you copped Rex. You know, there's a bunch of different
Yeah.
metas that came around, like Pnecking and optimizing positions and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of curious to like hear some of the more in-depth stuff, if you're okay to share that.
Yeah, sure. Uh so P-necking is actually kind of interesting. That almost never actually became a thing. It was actually Nakazai there, and I think he brought it up with his team, but nobody was interested in doing it. They thought it was just too crazy. But we managed to push them to try it, and now it's the better today. Um, yeah, the other things I think are just small compared to that. P-necking was pretty big. It was a game changer.
Oh yeah, because it helped with getting like two down bloat, which was
Yeah.
or did I say two down?
Oh, one down, one down. Yeah.
One down. I was thinking of duos for
Yeah.
some reason.
I mean, and duos. I mean, it changed for every scale. It's helped a lot for every scale. Yeah.
Was there
As far as
anything? Was there anything else that you would say was pretty, like, game changing?
um, apart from like, oh, I think clients are pretty game changing. They definitely help speed up the. But I think now that we've used the clients a lot and then gone back to RuneLite, the skill kind of just carried over. So we don't really need those plugins and stuff anymore.
Well, the thing is, like, some of those, like, really powerful plugins are also now on Runelite again. Like, for example, the one where it's, like, hides Nilos based on your XP drop for everybody in the party. Everyone has access to that now.
We basically have the same plugins as we used to have.
Yeah.
It's like not much has changed.
I think the other thing, when I was watching some of those VODs long ago, it seemed like everybody was, like, they knew what they were doing in rooms like Nilo. Like, you guys were on pretty much the same page. You know which one's a hit, and the melees knew what to do with their free time. And that got me very curious because I remember when I first did it, I did not have any clue of how that room worked at all. So
Yeah, we basically assigned individual Nilas to individual people, which I think that back then, for its time, nobody was doing that. And I think that's, doubling up is what costed a lot of people time.
oh yeah,
While we were trying to figure out the few second time saves. And yeah, it was actually ended up pretty well, I guess.
it definitely worked in your advantage because your guys' Nilo rooms were like seemed pretty consistent and they're always fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think they were very clean especially for the time. Because I think people were struggling to get consistent times, but we seemed very consistent. I think that's like one of our proud things.
All right. So I guess the next question I'll ask is, what were your thoughts on hiding some of the strats? Because I know that for ToB and some other pieces of content, there's this issue where people like to kind of hide their strats, and
Yeah.
I understand it in some avenues because it's like you want to kind of keep the rec for yourself. You want to like try to have people try to figure things out on their own, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like in other games, it seems a lot more open with sharing strategies. I've been watching a lot of different videos. Like there was some for like God of War. There was some glitches where people were breaking for speedrunning and that. And just in general, people always seem to like show their VODs and share stuff with each other. So I'm just kind of curious to hear what your thoughts are with strats being hidden in RuneScape.
So I actually would have preferred them not to be hidden. That wasn't really my choice, but I think I think a good reason for that having them hidden because once everyone's tick perfect, there's not much else you can improve on apart from having better strats. And I
Yeah.
think that's what kind of separated us from the rest. Because we always, our team was very good for having our own strats and finding new strats.
I think that's a good point because once everything is optimized, it just goes down to who's better at executing it when the RNG finally lines up.
Yeah, being consistent with the RNG, yeah.
And that's what
That's
sucks
kind of
about
what,
this game is just too much RNG.
yeah. Because once everyone's on the same skill level, because I feel like the skill gap can't be too much more. Eventually, everyone's just like the same skill gap.
Yeah, I mean, it varies based on like pieces of content. I would say like probably the most hardest ones where there's still always room for skill to really go a bit over RNG's Inferno. Of course, there's going to be
Oh yeah,
RNG, but there's a lot of click execution and positioning and just a lot of things you need to like keep in mind when spawn show up versus let's say chambers where chambers you can pretty
yeah,
much plan everything.
yeah. Because you can just predict it, but in
Yeah.
Inferno, it's just you don't know where things are going to spawn. I think that's the good thing about Inferno. I think more things should be like that, uh, depending on your decision making in the time. But that's one thing I actually like about Inferno.
Yeah.
Not that I like Inferno. I don't actually like Inferno.
You don't like Inferno?
I don't like speedrunning it.
That's fair. I mean, everyone enjoys speedrunning like some pieces of content. You got people like Gauntlet, which is incredibly niche. You got people like Chambers, and you got people that seems like there's more people that like speedrunning ToB over most things. But then again, ToB
Yeah,
is a well liked piece of content.
yeah. I think it's just a thing you can get together with your friends and your friends just enjoying themselves. I think that's why we got so into it because we just like hanging out.
So before I move on from this question, I guess the big question to ask is, do you think that it'd be more beneficial if people came together with some of their findings and their strats? Would you think it'd be good to have
Um,
people not hide stuff? Maybe we could move on to new metas on like a faster pace?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. Because I think if we could probably potentially combine strats someone might not know about, and then you can come up with a new strat with that. Because you never know what's out there. I feel like there's a lot of things that haven't been found yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I like this game. Always
Even
something new out there.
yeah, even when there are like the pieces to the puzzle, you have to actually put them together. So there might
Yeah,
be stuff that we know about. We might know about stalls, but we don't actually know how to use them until someone actually uses it for something.
yeah. And sometimes you need another person that knows something else that you don't.
Either that, or you just need someone that accidentally cast Heal Other in a Chambers run when they're trying to cast Vengeance for you to realize that Heal Other can be useful in prep.
Right?
That's
Wait, you actually use that in prep? That's actually funny.
yeah. So of course, Dio knew about this beforehand, but
Yeah.
I was just doing runs with Toy when we were trying out the Thrall setups. He accidentally Heal Others me, and I'm like, wait, because you want to die as prep at Vanguards? And I thought that was
Oh.
ingenious. Like, he didn't mean to do that, but with that, I was like, you could actually do this. And then I went straight to Dio's DMs, and he's like, oh, yeah, I knew about this. I was like, oh.
It's actually a pretty good strat though, to be honest.
It is, but it was completely accidental.
Yeah. I mean that makes it just so much better.
All right, so outside of ToB, what is the pieces of content that you enjoy in this game?
Um I like this. I kind of like speedrunning almost anything. Like even things like Sepulchre. I really like Sepulchre, and I guess just exploring little parts of the game that not many people, visit. I guess. Plus, I like breaking the game, so it's like more potential out there.
I could definitely see you breaking the game in more ways than one. I've seen a few of them. We'll get into
Oh,
that more, but there's
you have
probably a lot
no
more
idea.
things.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that no one knows about. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, game is crazy with some of the stuff that, for some reason, I feel like the just code is just straight up spaghetti. But you guys know how
Yeah.
to twirl the spaghetti to your advantage to do some dumb shit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, Sepulchre is an interesting one. I did a little bit of Sepulchre, but I only have a 605. I haven't sent many runs after that.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It seems pretty,
Yeah.
what's the word? Difficult.
I mean, Sepulchre, I feel like going for Sepulchre world record kind of sucks because it's dependent on having like an altar count to preload runes, which
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think that needs to be changed.
Yeah, but what can you do though because of how it works, where you load the instance and then you just have stuff running, but when no one's
I
there, it
mean,
just resets it.
I think it'd be fine if they made it private for one person only.
Maybe. Hopefully, if
Yeah.
they did that though, I'm hoping it doesn't add more pressure onto the servers because that's probably the reason why they have it where it's like one public instance, so that we
Yeah.
don't have to deal with situations with like raids, which kind of take a lot of the server handling, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so let's talk about the your ever growing knowledge in regarding very niche yet cool bugs. And if I recall correctly, you did contribute in helping create a chambers method, right? For like skipping the rope.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So, interesting story. So my friends, Australian friends, they at the time they had a competition or something going on. I think it was for speedrunning, and at the time the meta was to do a rope skip with the protect item thing without having the prayer on the high risk world.
yeah,
But we didn't have that on Australian worlds, so I was just like, you know what, I'll mess around and see what I can do. And I think it took me about 6 hours of just messing around, and I came up with the double P neck rope skip.
that was somewhat revolutionary, especially in normal chambers because that's what people use nowadays.
Really? I once I found that, I actually never really used it.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't actually do chambers that much.
that's what they do for normal chambers because so in CMs, right? There's a way for you to get your HP really low using the Kirby skip. So use the overload to get your
Yeah.
HP low, but you don't always have that luxury in a normal chambers run. So double
Oh,
P-neck skip is what they use because it still has a very high success rate.
yeah.
So
That's cool. That's cool.
you basically helped push the metas for solo chambers.
Nice. I'm glad I could help with that. Even though it affected me in no way whatsoever, I just did it for my friends.
I guess that's fair. Always finding some cool stuff for the boys. But
Yeah.
there's been some other clips flying around. Like for example, there was one. I think there was one in like was it Berg de Rod or something? I can't remember.
What's the glitch?
I don't remember. I felt like you pushed someone into a spot or something, but I don't remember.
It could be anything. I don't even know.
Wait.
There's just too many things.
Did you do one in? Let me think. In the desert, because I think I might have seen one of you in the desert pushing someone into a stool.
Oh, yes. So I think you're talking about the mithril seed thing,
Yes.
which you can walk through NPCs that you wouldn't normally be able to, and basically I just used that to trap people. Oh, you were talking about the horse lord one, where I trapped them in dirty rot.
Yeah, that's the one I saw, and I was just like, that's some rat shit right there.
Yeah, and then I crashed this client because I told him to destroy the scrying orb or whatever it's called, and for some reason that crashes your client.
There were some other things that crashed your client as well. Like, for example, when you tried to put runes into a pouch that was already filled with runes, if you did that too fast, it would crash your client.
Really? I've
Mm-hmm.
never heard that before. I
Some,
feel like that's such a common thing to happen.
Someone. Well, the thing is, you would have to with like 4 runes in your pouch. You'd have to do it multiple times, like over and over and over and over again until it actually crashes your client. So you'd have to do it like
Oh,
repeatedly. And I don't think anyone would want to actually do that repeatedly.
yeah. I do actually know of another way to crash your client, and it's involved trading and spamming coins in someone's trade screen.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of just lags them out. It's not like a client crash; it's more like a in-game crash, but they just completely disconnect.
Oh, that's even worse. Because if it works oh man, that means like it doesn't
Yeah,
matter what client they're on, you'll still crash their game.
yeah. They once you do it, they just sat there. And they can't move. They can watch, but they can't do anything for like a full minute, and then they'll disconnect.
Oh man. What other kind of like? I guess the term I'd use is rat shit. Do you know?
Oh, okay. There's a lot of things. Um, there was actually you know those bow scammers in the duel arena
Bows. Oh,
where
the
they'd
ones
be
with
like
the bows, and
the
they
maple
like.
shortbows.
Yeah, I know about
Yeah,
those.
60 arrows. Yeah, so you can actually, if the duel arena was still a thing, you could actually still do this. But if you have the Soul Wars aura, it would actually hide your ammo and your ring, so they would have no idea you have like bolts on instead, and then you just
What?
have a crossbow in your inventory, and they would think nothing of it. So
What?
you can just stake them for the free money.
Why does it do that? That's so odd.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh
That
yeah,
is odd.
thank him for that one. He helped me find that one. I was actually NH fighting him once, and he noticed that. I was like, you know what? That's an interesting idea.
If only it still works, but it doesn't work anymore. But that's
Yeah, I
good.
mean,
Good thing it doesn't, because I'm pretty sure if it did, then there'd be some people that go straight to a duel arena and do that shit real quick.
yeah, I mean, you could probably use it somewhere else. Who knows? You just have to find it.
That's fair. That kind of reminds me of there was this clip I think around the time of Gravestones getting released where Wook's like died. He died and he had
Oh
his
yeah,
gravestone like outside of the arena. He goes fight
yeah.
someone and he's like, what do I want to get out of my gravestone real quick? And then he just fucking pulls out some items. So it's just like,
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Is there any other cool things you want to share? Of course, I probably will talk about some of the high risk stuff, so we can probably save that for that question. But I'm just curious if there's any other things you'd like to share.
Yeah, I guess there is another bug in the wilderness where I won't say how to do it because it could probably be abused somehow. But basically, you can die in the wilderness and then just respawn on the spot, full HP and everything. You lose nothing. You're just free to run away.
And that bug is still present?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of broken bugs still present.
Well then, Jagex QA, you better go fix your shit or hire this guy.
This game's a lot more broken than people might think.
I could see that, but at the same time, it's like people don't really realize it because you don't have a lot of people that are trying to. Well, actually, there's some in it, so I can't say there's a lot of people, but there's like a small group of people who are trying to break the game in as many ways as possible.
Probably a good thing.
It's a good thing unless they're abusing it, because of course you got like the like in the world of hacking, right? You have like I think it's white hat and black hat hackers. Is that the term?
Yeah.
Where you have the people that try to hack to test security, and then they'll just be like, oh yeah, so this is vulnerable. And then you have the people that are actually trying to hack, so they can make that dinero.
Uh-huh.
So.
I like just doing them just for fun, by the way. So just putting that out there.
Jinimy is he's not a bad guy. At least that's what that's what we want to believe, right?
Oh, up to you if you want to believe that or not.
There. Okay, so I think it's time to move on and talk about a piece or an event hosted by the man himself, Hemorrhoids. High Risk ToB. You yourself have been a participant in High Risk ToB, and of course you've also been a victim to some of the crazy shit that has gone on there. But at the same time, you've also broken some stuff in there.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on High Risk ToB?
I think High Risk ToB is actually a really good idea. It opened up a lot of opportunities for people to find glitches or use glitches, and that was the most interesting thing for me. But I also like the PKing aspect. Try to kill everybody, and also try to get the MVP. I think High Risk ToB was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to expand it in other avenues of content. Like now we have High Risk Cox and High Risk TOA, and oh man, TOA is just absolutely just a disaster.
I've seen him like emptying potions that people would drop just at the start of one of the rooms.
He's a fucking rat. I cannot believe he did that shit. I was laughing when I saw it. It wasn't my potion, thankfully, because I knew if I dropped my stuff, someone's gonna do it. But when I saw him doing that, like, he was just literally sitting there and doing it, I was just like, I should not be surprised whatsoever that he's doing that.
Yeah, man, it's the way to win, right? Gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, I always go in to these competitions never expecting to win. I legit always go in there. I want to troll, I want to make people laugh, and I want to show off some really cool shit.
Yeah. I like going in just wanting to learn new things, basically, and learn how to, I guess, defend myself against the things that people can do. I think that's the thing I like doing.
I mean, there was the pet rock that Kirby tried to use to kill you. It was almost successful, right?
Almost.
Did you have a Pnecking on for that or no?
I don't remember. I don't think I did though. I think I just got lucky. I should have died there.
Yeah, because Pnecking nulls it, so you'll like get your HP drop down to like however much until your Pnecking procs, and it nulls all the hits afterwards.
I think I entered with it on, but I took it off to attack the boss, like right as all the damage stacked onto me. So I'm pretty sure I just got lucky. I 100% should have died.
Yeah, there's some. So before that, I'd say my brain was kind of like, it still is kind of small, but I didn't really think of the cool applications of using stalls and Pnecks in combination. But once I was asked to participate for the tournament, I was like, you know what, let's see what kind of really stupid shit I could come up with. One of them was, well, this one's Kirby. I smuggled a monkey inside, and sadly, only a few people noticed it. Not a lot of people noticed. Even the people inside didn't even notice. I called it out, and no one like was like, "Why is there a monkey inside?" And I was really sad.
It's the ultimate distraction. I think it was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, but after that, I was trying to, for one, figure out ways to extend quote unquote invulnerability. But I was
Ooh.
also doing some stuff that I may or may not have done in 416 back when, in my free time, I would go to 416 and fuck around with people and get them killed. So
Yeah.
one
How did
one
you
of
end up
them,
doing that?
one of them was, so you know how you like freeze a crab and everyone's just like all nice and chill. Okay, the crab's frozen. I used ice
Yeah.
rush, so the lowest
Oh no.
freeze duration, because then the crab unfreezes and it froze them off very hard.
Yeah, and they've got freeze immunity for like a few seconds, so they
Mm-hmm.
can't really do much against it.
Yep. So
That's
all I did
perfect.
was freeze that, and that really froze people off.
Uh,
Um, of course, I also use this more as a defensive tactic, but I don't know if I saw this beforehand, but I was like, okay, so you can use stalls to extend the life of Pnecs. So I used that in conjunction with Red X and Spellbook Swap so that I could extend the life of my Pnec running across the maze.
oh, for the maze, that was so genius. I did you come up with that your own on your own?
I came up with that on my own.
Because yeah, people use that for the maze skip now. That's kind of a big deal.
Well, the idea of itself, I came up with it myself, but the whole idea of red Xing, I didn't know too much about until I was talking to Dio, because of course, red X, spellbook swap, and uncharging your trident. I was trying to like figure out ways to not stop moving because I was really annoying. You're trying to spellbook swap from place to place and you stop moving. So I kind of went in the lab and I spoke to him about it, and he told me about different stalls. He told me about NPC contact, but I told him like you stay in place. But I said in my DMs with him, I might be able to find some use with this, and I ended up using that for bloat. But
Yeah.
I was also thinking like, okay, so if you're in a stall and when your neck procs, it nulls the hits. So that's why I got that idea to use like NPC, not NPC spellbook swap
Yeah.
while running across, because I was like, it's
That's such a good
defensive.
idea.
It's very defensive
Yeah.
because what people will try to do is they'll try to step on the maze. I don't think I was in a team of a lot of devious people, but I know there's some fucking ratty people when it comes to high risk. So I had to have a
Yeah.
plan B just in case.
I mean that's what makes hires so much fun. The amount of people doing ratty stuff.
I think it'd be more interesting now with Shadow being present because I feel like Shadow might be a very strong weapon for high risk as well.
I'm not sure. I actually haven't thought about that before.
Like, let's think of it like this. I'm wondering if it's better DPS than Scythe on a full defense Sarpus, but I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be good on Maiden too, instead of Tebow, but like I said, I'm not sure. You have to look at the
I can
calcs.
I can see it maybe working on Zarpus. I don't know about Maiden though.
Maybe not Maiden, because Tebow's probably just too good. But
Yeah.
throwing out some ideas. It might even be
Yeah.
even better when they make those changes to the imbued heart with the new content.
Oh yeah. Oh, about the I guess the Verzik save spot glitch. That's a pretty cool one I like. I actually found that accidentally. So
Really? So the one when you enter the barrier, right, and you just sat there?
yeah, I was actually trying to find a different bug.
Really?
So I was actually trying to get Dawnbringers and smuggle them out more so for a faster P1 strat. Because imagine 5 Dawnbringers on P1, right? That would be a massive time save
Yeah,
for a
but you probably
speed
get
run.
banned for.
I mean, only if you get caught, am I right? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it was. I don't think my team was actually down to do it, but I was more so doing it just to see if it was possible. And that's the kind of things I like doing, just seeing what's possible.
But either way, you found probably one of the most defensive and most hilarious bugs for a ToB high risk because you're literally just sitting there and you can't get hit by any of Verzik's attacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad that the glitch or you're not allowed to use it for high risk though, which understandably it's it's pretty broken.
Because everyone would use it then.
Yeah, I mean, my plan was just to use it for P1 because that's where you take the most damage. I feel like.
Yeah, so it's like you basically trade off like
Yeah.
P1 MVP just
Well,
so that you can not take damage, which I feel like is worth it. But then again, I wonder if it'd even be possible without one more person specking.
yeah, but what was going through my mind was, the person who gets the Dawnbringer, they're 100% getting the MVP for P1. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a win-win. I'm not going to get MVP anyway, so I'll just sit out and save my HP and come out as late as possible.
Yeah, might as well take, well, not really the L, but play it safe for that part. P1 is
Yeah.
just absolutely brutal.
Oh yeah.
I have
68 prayer.
I had an idea that I guess I'll leak it, but I was wondering if with the hot rock cake and if you have like a lot of redemption at the ready, if it's possible to, if you know you're gonna be taking a lot of hits, to maybe like bring it down a bit just by proccing constant redemptions using a hot rock cake. Because you already, do you know how the hot rock cake works whenever you try to like bite into it with no gloves on?
Oh, you mean pick it up, right?
Either you guzzle it while it's in your inventory, or pick it up, aka eat, because they have the same behavior.
I've messed around with that before. It's a pretty cool animation. We talking
Wait.
about it being useful for P1?
Maybe, but I feel like I'm trying to think more about it. You might need Pnex instead of just redemption. Now that I think more about it.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be doing much with redemption.
Probably not. Probably die. I know for TOA, if you were to redemption, it would work just the same because it would just do 1 damage for each of the orbs. So that's a way to.
Oh yeah.
That was a way to have the orbs like read your HP at 1 HP and then proc your redemption, even when they're different ticks.
Regen? That's because you're regening, right?
It's because not necessarily the regen, but it's because like it does 1 damage of the orbs, and then it procs your redemption right after the stall ends. And
okay.
Yeah, I know in some instances you would still just die and you would need a Pnec for some of them, but I believe for that one you can use redemption or Pnec and it would work.
Oh, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, because this is what I did because I knew I needed some sort of counterplay for P1 because I knew this is what was going to happen. Everyone was going to try to have the orbs on different ticks because normally you want to have them same tick to get your 1 HP redemption. But I knew that was not going to be the case, and I was okay with them doing it where like 2 ticks or 3 ticks apart. So
I think I've seen this clip you're talking about. It was amazing.
There are 2 ways of achieving it, but this is the simplest one because you don't have to be absolutely tick perfect. You have a lot of leeway with it, and that's what makes it nice.
Okay, yeah.
The other one is locator orb.
Did you survive that, by the way?
I did survive it. Oh, we had to reset because I was the only one alive.
Oh, wait, you have to reset? You couldn't just finish solo?
No, I don't. My setup is not solo, like a solo setup.
Ah, okay.
It was a meme setup. I was there just to make everyone miserable.
I mean, that's even better, to be honest.
Yeah. But that was interesting. It makes me wonder what kind of other cool stuff you can do with it, because in a way it extends your life, and it's a 1 item. You don't have to go through spell books or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing about it is, you know the behavior when you have a locator orb or a rock cake and you try to bite into it and you have attacks queued on you? The workaround with this item is you put it on the ground and you try to pick it up. Because you can still try to pick it up even when you have attacks queued on you. And whatever you want to try to do, like proc up Pnec or redemption, you can do that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think TOA actually has quite a few bugs that people don't know about yet.
Probably.
I found an interesting one. It's not too useful, but even with hardcore on, you can actually die, but you can do this glitch to respawn. So, but you can only do it in the croc room, what is it called? The puzzle room for croc. which is pretty useless. But
That's one of the easier rooms.
yeah, it's not like you're gonna die there anyway.
I wouldn't want to
The,
say that, but
oh,
I've
really?
seen some shit. I've also been bitten down by the crocs.
Oh my god.
Those
Is that
fuckers
an high
hurt.
risk?
No,
Is
it
that
was
a high risk then?
I was trying to record footage, and one of my friends said, "Go walk up to the croc," and I walk up to it. They start biting me 27s, and
Whoa,
they're
what the?
accurate. I think I'm in full Torva, and they're just nonstop hitting 27s on me, and then I died.
I think when I was messing around there, when I got to like under 10 HP or something, for some reason, all of them just became unaggro and didn't want to hit me anymore. I'm not sure what that was about. It was almost like there's a thing that they can't kill you, but I guess maybe if their max hit is more than your HP, I guess they can.
I don't know.
I'm not
I
really
feel like this
sure.
thing's hurt, but I do know that they will only bite you if you have water on you. I mean, if you have no water, then they just kind of ignore you.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't actually
Yeah,
know that.
they bite you and you lose water. They bite you.
Oh, so they lose you water too?
Yeah, that's why you gotta be careful. Even when you pray melee, sometimes they'll hit for your prayer. Like the prayer reduces it. But I think they still
Yeah.
take away water if they bite you.
Okay. That's quite interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that are yet to be found, I feel like.
I feel like why of all those rooms, that room seems like very. There's a lot of in-depth stuff that people would never really think about, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
there, and I'm just like, why did they code this?
there's so many things that people never even see.
Yeah. But is there anything else you'd like to say regarding some of the stuff in high risk?
um, I don't think so, but I would like to see a lot more high risk. I think high risk things are so much fun.
It really is. Just the
Yeah,
opportunity to show off some really cool stuff as well as just PK some rats. Um,
yeah, just the idea of it is awesome.
I don't know.
Should definitely do it.
I'll always love going in and just messing around. I never really like playing for the win. It doesn't
Oh
feel as
yeah,
fun for me.
that's always my goal too. I mean, the win is a bonus, but I just like learning the strats that people use. Even if it's against me, I don't mind.
That is true. Okay, so normally, this is gonna be the first time I've ever done this, but there's a lot of meme questions that I've been sent in. So
Oh,
I'm going
great.
to start reading off some of these meme questions. Okay, so the first one is from me because I've seen this email. I am completely curious about it, but please tell me about Jinimy Trader.
Oh, so so my first ever speedrun team. This is completely about speedrun teams, by the way. So I was basically I would always play with them on like a lot of ping, like 200 maybe more, and so eventually I found this Australian group that they wanted to learn about speedrunning and they just wanted to do raids and stuff. I talked to my team about it. I was like, I want to raid with these guys because it's on my ping and stuff, and I feel like I can do better and actually improve. They were okay with it until we actually started breaking records, and then that's when the Jinimy Trader became a thing.
Oh, I see. And if I recall correctly, the first team was Camp Snoopy, right? So like Dio's kind of group
Yeah,
of people.
yeah. And then I moved to Odspeeds or OddsToB.
I mean, that is pretty. That's trader tier right there, dude. I can't believe this.
I mean, I was in my mind, I was just raiding with friends.
That's fair. And even then, it's like rating on high ping. If you know there's an option to rate on low ping, is never fun.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done better without me, uh, because they could have got someone with better ping, and because the ping was definitely making me lose takes in rooms like Zarpa's P1, for example. You
Yeah.
can't like insta react with the exhumes. But, yeah.
Isn't Verzik P1 a little bit annoying too if you're trying to do like tick perfect Hado? Someone.
Actually, no. It's actually pretty easy. The trick is to just wear your declaws before you pick up the star, because the spec
Yeah.
bar is already there. I guess the hardest part is unequipping it, but even then, you can still do that perfectly just fine.
Okay. I feel like when I was trying to do player 2 on OzPing, it was a bit hard for me, but maybe
You
I'm
just
just
need
bad.
practice as well. It's literally just practice.
Yeah, I guess I'd
You
have to
just
practice a bit
gotta,
more.
you just have to learn the timings of it.
Okay, so the next one. Hemis wants your VR chat tag.
He's got to pay for that one, right?
Damn,
You won't get that for
Hemis.
free.
Okay, the next one was... Oh, shit. I didn't write their name down. I don't know why the fuck I didn't write their name down. I think it was Jerry. Jerry
Oh,
wants his
yes.
sang back.
Well, he shouldn't have given it to me.
What?
Listen. So I loaned my Sang stuff out to a friend, and we were gonna raid, but I had never sang at the time because it was loaned out. And she was like, you can loan this. I mean, you can borrow this, and so I held it for a while because he never asked for it back. I eventually, reminded him, "Hey, I still got your stuff. You want it back?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm rich." So I'm like, "All right, mine now." I tried giving it back. He didn't want it, and
Damn,
now he wants it back.
I see. Well, it's not any of my business, alright? That's up to RuneWatch to judge whether or not it deserves to be
Oh,
punished.
it's no drama. It's just
I
a
know.
prank.
Alright, so this one is from my friend. He wanted me to ask it for some of the other participants, and I never did. So he wants to know, what's your favorite crayon flavor, and why is it purple?
Actually, it's not purple. My favorite crayon flavor is green because it's the same color as peanut butter.
Green?
Yeah,
I
because
don't.
I'm colorblind. A
Oh,
colorblind, right?
okay. I wasn't sure because I'm like thinking like, yeah, I know you're colorblind, but is it green? Because it's like I'm kind of
I mean,
concerned. If,
to me, it is green.
I was a little worried because it's like, does that mean I'm eating moldy peanut butter?
Oh no, gross.
Okay. The next one, I'm hoping PETA doesn't get on your case for this one, but how many times have you considered yeeting your cat out the window?
All the time. Only when we're on soap maze, mostly. All right, there's another story on there. We actually have another Discord emote, and it's called Jinimy on pace. So, uh, she would often come up to me, trying to get my attention. Normally, when we were on pace, specifically at the soap maze, she would always sit in front of my screen, and she would just try to cause havoc.
What the fuck? Why?
I don't know. It's like she knew that, and she would also always try to come to my window for me to let her in whenever we were on pace as well. So we had this joke of, if we're having a fast raid, which is like, oh, my cat needs to come in there. So,
It's actually
that
hilarious.
this seemed to be the key for good RNG.
I will say I've heard this story with a lot of people. I have a friend of mine, and she was I was trying to remember what content she was doing some content, and her cat came up and she died, or the cat like got her killed, and she was like, "You got me killed, but I'm okay with this." And she started petting the cat. And I have another friend of mine who also has a cat, and I was doing TOA with him, and he would constantly get killed because the cat would jump on his keyboard.
Yeah, she would do that to me all the time, or just sit in front of my screen.
What can you do? Cats are just
Yeah,
cats know what they
I
want.
mean,
They just want your
it
love.
makes for a good story at least.
Okay, so that's the end of the meme questions. This one was originally going to be a meme question, but I think it's good to convert it to an actual serious question because this is something I've spoken to some people about. So, why do you use inventory tags? Obviously, we know why. It's because of color
Yeah.
blindness, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
So
I wanted to kind of talk about your thoughts on some of the plugins that people have created because there's a lot of plugins that help people out with color blindness. Like I believe I think it was Karen that made one for Ulm, and it replaces the models of the Ulm orbs with the TOA IDs. So basically,
Yeah.
like a sword, a giant orb, and an arrow for Ulm's attacks. It doesn't replace the sound though.
We actually had the same thing for SOT. They
Yeah,
replaced the attack styles from like Inferno or whatever. So why I use inventory tags is because I actually only use it for very few items, and it's just to tell the difference between like a Blood Fury or a Torture because they look exactly the same, or like a
yeah.
Stamina and an Antidote. Um, so in my opinion, the plugins don't really help with something like that, except for inventory tags. Uh, I don't actually use any colorblindness plugins. I find that they are more annoying than anything. Well, apart from like the ones that only help with very specific things, like what you just mentioned, and like what I just mentioned about the SOT thing. But the colorblind plugins that change like the whole screen color and stuff, I just really don't like them. I actually find they make it worse, just for
Oh,
me specifically. Who knows? Maybe it helps someone else.
I guess that is fair. All right. So, we had a big piece of content come out recently. TOA. And I know a lot of people aren't too happy about it. At least a lot of the end game players haven't been very happy about it. A lot of the entry mode or like mid tier players, they've been okay with it. They've been loving it. The amount of completions for it have so high. Alright, so it's
Yeah.
obvious a lot of people are interacting with it. But I've asked this with a lot of my guests, and I'm kind of curious. What's your thoughts on TOA?
I like TOA, but I feel like I feel like 600 invocation should be like a doable thing. Well, maybe it is doable, but we haven't found a way yet. But the 25-minute thing on it, I think, kind of ruins it. Because maybe you can do it in like an 8-man. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably pushing it, but eventually maybe.
People would have to come up with some crazy shit. Already, I don't think there's been an 8-man 500 done, and I was trying to get that to happen at some point, but, schedules.
Yeah. Well, didn't they like didn't they cap like the loot potential at 550 invocation?
I think so in
I think.
solos, but based on your team size, you're going to reach out like 400.
Oh, okay. Well, I liked that there was a 770 invocation thing, just to make things so much harder. I think they need to add more invocations. Not like so you can have all the time ones on for 3 points or anything, but I feel like they need to, you know, push the invocation thing higher, just so you can actually make it harder for yourself.
Yeah. If they're going to add more invocations, though, I'm hoping it's not anything simple, like tweak one
Yeah,
small thing, and I want stuff that actually changes how a fight feels.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe
I
make it
agree
more
with that.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Like,
Um.
off the top of my head, the one that's been said 1,000 times now is two wardens. Two wardens of P2 would be cool.
Yeah.
Another one for Baba Room, or at least not Baba Room, but like Baba herself, is having the ones from last room make an appearance. So then, as you're trying to solve the boulders, maybe you have like the fucking shaman Kumers and all that stuff, like trying to run amok.
Yeah. I like the idea of absolute chaos. Uh, I do like things being like really hard, almost impossible to complete. I think they should have things like that, but not locked behind like speed times that are almost impossible.
Yeah, like I've really enjoy it, but at the same time, I feel like it could be definitely more replayable if they made some tweaks to it.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of got burnt from it. I just I just like playing with friends when I do it now.
Yeah,
I can't
that's how
really
I
do it
feel.
solo.
Solos are just I want to get the pet, but it's like I don't want to do solos. Solos is just I want to Kermit jump so hard when I pot solos.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I do solos, the goal is to get the yellow gem. I just can't seem to get it. It's a painful grind, especially when you don't like doing solos
Yeah,
or lower invitations.
that's the thing. I enjoy doing it with the homies. Like I feel like it's somewhat chill. Like some stuff can be a
Yeah,
little bit chaotic when someone does a one bad move at Akka, or maybe at Baba, someone's not the right bowler and someone dies instantly at the start. But other than that, it feels relatively chill at like 400, 350, the lower ones.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it fun. Whenever your teammates die and then you have to clutch up.
Oh,
When it
yeah.
gets intense, that's my favorite moments.
True. But is there anything else you'd like to say regarding TOA?
I don't think so. I just want them to add more invocations, I think. Or maybe more untradeable kits and stuff at higher invocations as well.
What kind of
You
kits
know,
would you like to see?
I'm thinking like things that like no one's gonna have. Kits for I'm not sure. It could be like what if you had like a Missouri armor color change? I mean that might be cool.
Maybe.
But I just I like the idea of things that are like nobody has. Like you see someone with it, you're like, damn, that's sick.
That was what it was like with the fan kit on release, and then they made stuff easier, so then more and more people started getting it.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I mean, I guess that's fair. I like my fan kit, but then again, I got mine doing a duo and a 4-man. I never did a solo for it. Okay, so we could probably start talking about some of the content pitches and some of the items that they wanted to bring into the game. So, of course, we had Game Jam presenting stuff like Blue Inferno. Then they're teasing this mystery quest. And from that mid-tier boss, we'd have this new bow that works not like chins, but it can hit enemies that are like split as long as they're not too far apart. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on like some of these content pitches and some of the new items they want to bring into the game.
So the Blue Inferno thing, I think last time I think I heard it was from like hard mode Inferno or something, right?
So what they wanted to do is they wanted to put an Inferno in Mount Karum. So they wanted to do like
Yeah.
a Blue Inferno. And the idea behind it is it's much faster paced, but it's not as focused on, let's say, flicking prayers and movement. I think it's more on decision making. But there's also modifiers. They pitched it where it has modifiers that either debuff you or buff up the enemies. And then, like, after a boss wave, I believe you get a buff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really look too much into the updates and stuff. I do like the idea of hard mode things though. It's for the bow. I think it's cool having new items that have potential that can do like new things. Like yeah. Because it changes a lot of strats for speedruns and stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, I know about some of the Inferno speedrunners who are, like, not too keen on it. I'm not sure if it's still, like, super good or not, because now it's 4 tick. It has a range of 6, and I'm not sure how Yeah, so it used to be a range of, let me think. I think it was literally just max range, and it had 3 tick attack speed.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
The 6 range is like nothing. It's like blowpipe range.
Yeah, it's literally blowpipe range.
That sounds awful.
They kind of neutered it from its original proposed Zarite build, but it makes sense, I guess,
Yeah.
because of the content it's coming from. But I'm still kind of curious if it'll end up being good or not, because off the top of my head, as long as it's consistently hitting 3 NPCs, then it would be good for, let's say, bloblets and split nibs. But if that's not actually the case, where it has that chance of like double hitting one NPC and then hitting another NPC, as long as there's like stuff split up, then it might not be as good.
Yeah. When they're going to add like what was that update? If you're under 50 HP with Missouri or something, you get like a buff or something. What did happen to that?
They scrapped it because people hated it.
I love that idea. I'm not gonna lie. I wish they didn't scrap that.
I feel like if they were going to do something like that, they have to treat it like Darox in a way. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just hard at the HP threshold they wanted to have you sit at for the increased stats.
Oh, I like the idea of the threshold But I think the HP threshold should have been lower, maybe like 20 HP even. Just I like the idea of high risk, high reward. Because say for like Inferno, if you're able to do that on 20 HP, you deserve that extra damage.
The problem is probably the practicality of it, though. Like
Yeah,
in Inferno, you're already kind of sitting at low HP when you're starting waves. You
yeah,
kind of
that's
want to
true.
try to sit at higher HP, and that's the nice thing about the Light Bear in current Missouri: more defense, and you have more blowpipe specs, so you kind of have a bit more HP starting waves now. But
Yeah. I just like the idea of the possibilities, the potential. Not just for Inferno. I like it that it could be used for something else even.
I could see it being used in maybe some miscellaneous speedruns. So some of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
misc bosses would probably have much faster times with it. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I still feel like if they're going to add something like that, at least in my opinion, having a DH set effect would be kind of cool. Because then it's like,
Yeah,
so you can kind of sit at low HP, but not in HP where Olm can one shot you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess, yeah, I think that's okay. I like both, to be honest.
Agreed. I think there's some other stuff they presented too for the current game jam. There was like that whole wilderness rework. They wanted to add a bunch of items. Like one of them, I think, was an attachment to the Elder Mall. Of course,
Yeah.
game jam stuff isn't guaranteed to come in, but it seemed like they wanted to add a lot of cool and different things. So curious about your thoughts on that.
I really like wilderness updates, but I don't like the multi-zones and stuff. I just like single zone stuff. So I wish they would just make the whole thing single zone, to be honest. uh, I actually don't know about the updates. I haven't had a chance to, see the game jam stuff. I think they usually do it, when I'm sleeping and stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking over it on Twitter. That's it. That's how I always follow all the game
yeah,
jam stuff.
yeah, it's
All right. So this is a question that wasn't on the script, but I thought about it because I remember at the start you mentioned that you were a former Iron Man. I also remember that you were a former Iron Man, but I was kind of curious. What's your thoughts on the game mode and why you de-ironed?
so I think Iron Man's actually really cool. I really like it. Only reason I'd be behind is I basically had every item already. I felt like I completed the game, but I was basically a main account that had to do the farm runs every day, so it kind of ruined it for me. Plus, another reason I de-ironed was because I wanted to get into speed running, and my other main wasn't like max cape or anything. So yeah, I liked having just the ability to have nothing holding me back, I guess.
I guess that's completely fair. I remember one complaint I heard was the whole blood run grind to continue using your scythe from a lot of people.
I actually that wasn't one of my problems actually.
Huh.
I just bought my blood runes, to be
Oh.
honest. Like it's no big deal compared to like dragon darts and stuff. That was
Oh.
my problem.
I mean, now they
Oh,
made D-Darts a bit accessible because of TOA printing out D-Dart
yeah,
tips.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of a good thing. I like that they have a better way of getting D darts and stuff without actually having to get like really, really slow rates on them.
Yeah. Do you think they're doing a good job or better job with sustainability as an endgame iron, and so you don't have to do like all these millennial tasks to pot on that account, or do you think there's still some work that needs to be done?
I don't know. I think maybe Iron Man's kind of too easy now compared to how it used to be.
Oof.
It it used to be like, this long grind, but now you can just AFK those things that you didn't like. Like rune crafting, that you can AFK that now.
Yeah. Well, there's also Gardens of the Rift. You want to kind of like speed it up a
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
but
I actually liked Guardians of the Rift. Because the outfit and stuff, it makes blood runes kind of easy to get. I feel more inclined to actually runecraft the blood runes now instead of just
yeah,
buy them.
they really amped up the amount of blood runes you can get. You got a new altar. You
Yeah,
have the thing that originally dropped from Next, but now it drops for TOA some fucking reason.
Yeah, the
but
blood essence.
Don't know what.
Wait, you can get that from. Wait, what is it?
You can get it from TOA now.
The blood essence?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Oh wait, yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember now.
I'm not sure what the philosophy was behind it because I wasn't sure if they were introducing this new item and it was gonna only come from Next, or they're introducing it from this piece of content, but they were gonna add it to more pieces of content. It seems like that's a case where they wanted to introduce something new and now they're just adding it to a bunch of drop tables. But
I thought it would just be a next thing, to be honest.
that's what I was
kind of
thinking too.
surprised. I'm surprised they added it to TOA.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I guess I'm not either.
I just felt like it was a bit odd to come from TOA. I don't know. I just had that idea because blood, Nex, blood spells makes sense to drop from Nex, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they made it come from TOA.
Probably have some weird mummy mumbo jumbo to somehow explain it lore wise why they drops this, but then again, you don't always have to explain every ounce of like details as to why certain things come from certain bosses.
Yeah.
That is actually a good point, huh? Maybe he knows ancients, that's why. Okay, so we have a long future ahead of us. Kind of not sure what's going to come. Well, of course, we got the quest that's coming out and some of the new items they propose, but we aren't sure just yet what the future really holds for us. So I'm curious, in your eyes, what does this game need to live on for us endgame players, maybe for the mid-tier players, maybe for entry mode players? Like, what do you think would be healthy for the state of the game in the future?
So I think they should add harder stuff, to be honest, and or impossible stuff, things that can't be done, or maybe can be done, but in like a long time. I like the idea of impossible challenges or next to impossible.
I feel like their approach right now is that they're trying to add more and more content that is kind of easy and that more people can do it because at the end of the day, they need the numbers.
I mean, I guess I'm okay with that, but I think they need to focus a little bit more on harder stuff, because once you get to the end game, it's like you've done everything. There's not much to go for.
Burn out easily.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of mid game stuff compared to in game stuff.
Yeah, but we'll have to see because their approach is they seem very adamant on not wanting to add harder content. Like I feel like we're never gonna end up getting another ToB or Inferno ever again, which sucks.
Yeah. I just hope they change their mind.
Me too. I feel like there are a couple things they could do to kind of accomplish that hard or impossible idea. So one thing that RS3 does that I like is an enrage system. So it's kind of similar to Invocations, but it adds more and more mechanics to a certain boss as you go up in enrage.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's also just in the stats too, but I don't know if it's like a complete just pro on some stats. But tell us, for example, that one has a lot of different mechanics as you go up to the point where it's like, I think at a certain enrage you're always just gonna instantly die if you don't solve the mechanic correctly. And before it was impossible to do or very, very hard to do. I think people ended up coming up with a way around it to complete 4K for the first time. But it also allows you to do the content, and as you add more and more gear, you can still do it and just go up those enrage levels too. So maybe have it set to impossible when it first comes out, and as more and more time goes by, it becomes more doable.
Yeah. So with TOA thing, I'm just glad that they didn't give everything high defense when you're high invocations like Tecton. That is one thing I'll give them. The decently, the decent defense levels makes it actually good.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, it just wasn't fun doing Tecton, especially in CN.
Tecton solo is still cringe. Don't at me.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, another thing they could also do outside of Rage is also, this is something I think spoken to some people about, and it's accelerating the early to mid game to get people to end game, because if they do that, then there's more incentive for them to want to add more end game content, because if it's more players that are in the end game, you don't have to spend as much time. So if end game players want more stuff to do, I think the one solution is to accelerate the parts of the game that are kind of boring. That and
Yeah.
no one here enjoys sitting there hours on end doing skilling. A lot of people, or most of the player base, PvMers. I don't want to just like shun the PKers and shun the skillers, because obviously there's always going to be niche player groups. But most of us are PvMers. We like killing shit. We like doing stuff in teams. I think it would be beneficial and would be more motivation for endgame stuff to come out if we had more endgame players, and the only way to do that is to accelerate progression.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. I like the idea of having a faster mid game and getting to people to end game faster.
Yeah. I think there's some more items now that kind of bridge the gap a bit better. Obviously, we still have our mega rares that are the top tier weapons in their category, but we have Bofa, we have Osmondsen's Fang, and we have the Sang, which, you know, give or take, are still decent weapons.
Yeah.
So,
how do you think they should speed up the mid game though?
that is a good question.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part.
I think already they're adding some more skilling methods, which is nice. That kind of helps with the skilling aspect. So I guess in terms of PvM and getting players to like a faster point, I'm not sure if you'd ever want to add anything that accelerates combat XP. Maybe you could do something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess in regards to PvM though, there just needs to be a little bit more accessibility to gear that lets you do harder content.
Yeah. I actually don't like the fact that they have like a lot of skilling requirements for PvM. Like, for chambers you need like herbal, woodcutting, and all these skills. I
Yeah,
don't actually like that. I like the idea of, ToB because you don't need those skills. Maybe that's why more people like ToB.
it's that and the fact that it's more dynamic too, because every time you enter a ToB, there is going to be some differences. I think in fives it's not as dynamic, but there's still some things that can like, oh, you got one crab spawn, okay, we AFK. We have 5 crab spawns, run for your fucking life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean,
it's the same
yeah,
content. It's just every single run presents a new opportunity, and there's just a lot of skill compared to something
yeah,
like TOA, where it almost basically plays out the same, and the only reason you'd reset a bunch of times is for a good Baba room when you're speedrunning.
yeah. Maybe that's why I don't like TOA as much. It's just the same thing every single time. Not
Yeah.
much, variance.
And then you have chambers where there is, of course, like different things will happen in different fights, whether or not you have like enough DPS or if the Vanguard digs like sooner or not. I'm not too big of a fan of that, but there's still a lot of depth in stuff like Olm. I think Olm is a very well done fight because guess what Olm does? He puts acid on you. Of course,
Yeah.
the easiest approach is run away like a bitch, but we don't do that. What we do is we teach people to acid run and do hits.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of room to like master all these different mechanics, and there's like very, very intricate things as well if you want to go on like a deeper level for teams, like analyzing your team's HP to use spells like heal other or tank swapping, bring on 15s, pre-dodging. Pre-dodging is also a very neat thing for putting crystals back, and because Scythe is present, or if you're using Fortic, you can still do this with Fortic, you can run to the middle as long as you're not losing ticks, and then go back and hit the hand. Because with a Scythe, you have like 2 opportunities to do that and not lose ticks while also not taking hits.
Yeah, I actually really like Olm because it has all these neat things that you can do.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way they intended on people doing 4-0 and stuff for Olm. Surely not.
I don't
I
think they
like
intended
that.
people to solo it, but people ended up soloing it because of spaghetti code, and they just said, okay, we're fine with this.
I am so happy they didn't patch these things.
They could have easily just been like, all right, let's delete this, delete solos.
Yeah, I love that they kept that in.
But without sidetracking anymore, I think the main thing to make endgame a bit more accessible is probably adding like bosses that are worth doing for endgame players, and they'd have to like come up with a way where it's not. I'm trying to think because like typically endgame players are always going to farm low level bosses for pet hunting, or if it's good money, they're going to do it. So they have to find like that kind of balance where it's like you can still do it as an endgame player, but it's not going to get much faster compared to like a mid game player with mid tier gear, and they could do something like, for example, maybe capping the max hit. Then it kind of feels artificial.
Oh yeah.
But accessibility to gear is also something that is important. I think they did a good job with the Fang. Of course, the Trident is super cheap, so that's easy to get. The Sang is a little bit more expensive. I think out of all the things, it's only range that still needs some sort of very good weapon that's easy to get. Because, I mean, both, you have to save up a bit of money for it. But it's like...
They have blowpipe, but there's like not much not much
they nerf blowpipe, though, so it's like...
There's no in-between.
Yeah,
so they need an in-between for that.
The in-between weapon, it is very strong. I think Bofa is very good. The problem with the Bofa is just it's still kind of expensive.
It is very expensive, yeah.
So, that's the only thing I see that needs a little bit of adjusting is have a weapon for range that is easy to get. Or, you know, it's affordable, and it still doesn't make you feel bad for not having a T-bow or Bofa.
Yeah. Maybe they'll bring something else, and then hopefully.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing adding a bunch of bosses of varying difficulty, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be new content for us too. But, of course, we don't want it to be stale. So, that's the only problem, is whenever they add like these easy bosses, it tends to be stale for the endgame players.
Yeah, it's just too easy, yeah. We like the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll have like a lot of depth and it'll be cool to do, but could always add some sort of enrage or maybe something like CG. Like corrupted gauntlet to gauntlet was pretty nice.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea.
Could do more
I like being able to. Yeah, I like the idea of making things harder, but still having an easy option for people to like learn in. I think that's cool.
Yeah, of course, there always needs to be some incentive to do the harder content. As you see with CG to normal gauntlet, there's big incentive. You make a lot of money doing CG.
Yeah. The drop rates are different and stuff.
We need
and you extra else.
We need less bosses like Nex.
Yes. Nex sucks.
I was
no one likes
so
Nex.
hyped for it just because of nostalgia reasons. Because I never actually got to do it in pre-EOC. But
I did. And I had the time of my life. But now it sucks.
I think the reason why it sucks for us now is because of the content we've gotten. Because we've had so many good endgame pieces of content, and then they pitched this endgame group boss, which I feel like we still don't have a good endgame group boss. And we're like, oh, next is going to be great. But no, it's very stale.
It just doesn't compare to the other stuff we already have.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just too spoiled.
They spoiled us with some really good updates. It's just that they set the bar high for themselves, so it's really hard.
Yeah, you can't really do much when you have so much good stuff already.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add on to that question, Mr. Jinimy?
Which question was it?
Just like, what you'd like to see in the future of OSRS.
Oh, speedrunning stuff. More speedrun stuff. I think that's all.
I think there's one thing we could add, or like the concept of it, that'd be kind of cool to see people speedrun, and that's dungeoneering.
Yes. I used to speedrun dungeoneering. Actually speedran it to 200 mil XP. And it was actually so much fun doing dungeoneering.
I hated it when I was young.
I did that every day.
Yeah, I hated it when I was younger because it was a chore. It felt like a chore. But I feel like now, the whole idea behind dungeoneering of just like going for rooms, killing stuff, like solving puzzles, and then on top of that, grouping together at the end to fight a boss, could really open the doors for some really fun stuff. Of course, they need to add like some bosses with like some mechanical difficulty and not just something that's really easy to solve, because otherwise it's just, it'll get stale.
Yeah, just click and hit is that kind of sucks.
And I feel like they could use a similar approach with like ToB and Chambers when it comes to rewards or just raids in general. Just put a chest, have some drops, and then like of course the uniques. They don't have to make it a skill. They could just make it a PvM activity, which I think would be really fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I like dungeoning being a skill, but I love doing it. I just don't think it should have been a skill.
Yeah, I think it's good PvM content, but it's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
All right, but I guess I will wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jinimy.
Thanks for having me.
It was an honor. The only thing I have a question for is there any socials or anything I could shout you out with? Because I don't know any of your socials.
No, I actually don't use any socials, but I could give you my Twitch. Maybe I'll stream on there one day.
Let me throw a quick shout out to that Jinimy Crick, if I know how to spell this correctly. Is it just Jinimy Crick or Jinimy Cricket?
Crick.
There. I did it. If anyone wants to follow Jinimy for the once in a millennia stream, there you go, guys.
Go.
Alright, so before I wrap it up, as per usual, I need to announce next week's guest. So I've already assembled a time for it and a day for it. So it's going to be Saturday at, I believe, 3 p.m. EST. It is very EU friendly. It is a very EU friendly stream. And the reason for that is because we're going to have an EU guest. He is one of Oblivion's staff members. He is very well known for doing some stuff in the DPS sheets. He's a member of Gear Discord. And he is in love with the first frame of Disco Cat emote. His name is Kokenpan, and I'm very excited to have him as next week's guest. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of in-depth talking about mechanics and stuff, because whenever he sets his mind to trying to find out stuff, he really sets his mind out for it. I had a long conversation with him in regards to PoA stuff. So yeah. Other than that, guys, I'm probably going to send you guys over to Hemorrhoids, so say hi to Hemorrhoids for me. So let me go rate him real quick, and I'm going to now end the recording. Until next time, guys, farewell.